This event is also the second round of the FIA African Rally Championship. Starting at Swartkops just outside Pretoria, competitors will rally to Witbank and Ermelo before completing the rally in fast forest stages around the Badplaas area in Mpumalanga. This three-day event covers 974 kilometers with 18 special stages covering 294 k's. The Highveld grass is very dry in late autumn. The road conditions range from thick sand near Witbank to dusty and rocky tracks as the event moves to the forests around Warburton. Some hard, fast sections will test the skills of the drivers to the limit, while the Total Rally has traditionally had a vicious sting in the tail. Well, this year only a sting in the tail with 161 kilometers of stages and 380 k's in total. As always before a rally, the tension was palpable as drivers and their teams ensured that everything was in order. The crowds too were out in force, ready for another round of riveting rally action.
We've pulled out as many of the stops that we can to make this rally just that little bit more interesting for people. You know, as far as the route is concerned, we've had a long discussion after last year, and what we're trying to do this year is get the guys to the forests earlier than we've done in the past. We've cut out Bronkhorstspruit as a stage, and so that we can use Warburton as a central service area for more stages, and the service crews don't have to chase after cars. The public can get to spectator points very easily, and perhaps, you know, even at the end of the day, the guys will have, in spite of having rallied for 3 days nearly, they probably would have had quite a relaxing rally.
Leading the championship, Enzo Keen was delighted to have an S2000 car at last, having also been relegated to last year's Golfs, while the new BP Volkswagen Polos were completed.
We've literally driven it a few hundred meters, so, you know, we're a bit nervous about getting to learn the car and that. You know, we'll be going straight into the first stage without testing, but it's great to have it, yes, great to have a four-wheel drive, and it's the right event to have it for.
Rookie Sifiso Mashlangu and Ntombi Maselela were buoyant about their chances in their first rally together.
It's going to be a nice rally, very fast. We did the recce last week, so it looks like it's going to be a very, very nice rally, very well organized. Looks good.
On to the action in stages 1 and 2 at Swartkops, an 11-kilometer tail stage on the well-known racetrack. The route was made even more tricky by the inclusion of the karting track, with the big rally cars battling to get around the tight corners designed for meter-long go-karts. Johnny Gemmel and Marty Olivier immediately took control of the rally in their L&J Plant Sasol Delight M4 Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 7, setting a scorching time of 6 minutes and 36 seconds. Ergen Fecken and Pierre Aries in Class A7 BP Volkswagen Golf was a full 3 seconds behind them, followed 5 seconds later by Serge Damso and Robert Paisley in the S2000 Castrol Runx. Debuting the S2000 BP Volkswagen Polo, Jannie Habig and Douglas Judd equaled the 6 minutes 44 seconds by Damso. Also in an S2000, Etienne Lawrence and Andre Vermeulen were 3 seconds behind in their Total Runx. Back in Class N4, Cape Townians Richard Bem and Grant Sinclair were 8 seconds behind Gemmel, with Visser du Plessis and Tilo van Westrachen third in class. The tussle in A7 was shaping up nicely as Fecken was just 3 seconds ahead of current class champions JP Damso and Robert Frey and their team Total Runx, with ex-track star Charles Wilken losing 8 seconds with an overheating motor. In the lower classes, the battles were just as tight. In A6, Burger and Van Geenen tied with Wilken and Carryhill and beat Trott and Costa by just 2 seconds. In Class N3, competition was intense, with Claudio Piazzamuso and Janine Labuschagne taking the lead in their Sasol Toyota Runex, being chased hard by Rodney Versace and Carolyn Swan, and Christovet and Patrick Yende, both in identical Team Total Runexes. In Class N2, Aggie Stowe fought it out with Mike Nathan and Costa Kumantarakis, all in Toyota Corollas. And in the smallest class A5, newly returned Michael Houghton successfully took on Vusi Mbanga and Sali de Toy. Same conditions, the cars were put in a holding area to allow the sun to set before stage 2. This stage was a rerun of stage 1. The major difference, of course, was that it was now pitch black. After a fireworks display celebrating the start of the rally, the teams were off yet again. Gemmell was quickest, but Fecken managed to match his time of 6 minutes and 40 seconds. Lawrence moved up in the Team Total S2000 Toyota Runex, only a second behind them, with Wilkins showing his true colors in the cooler conditions by doing 6 minutes and 42 seconds, with Damso 7 seconds adrift and Habich a further 4 seconds down. The battle lines were drawn in N4 with Fernando Rueda in his Sasol Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 8 matching Nicholas Ryan in his Bosel Subaru WRX STI. Fighting was no less fierce in the lower classes, with Craig Trott shadowing Wilken and Berger. The pace was just as frenetic in N3, with Piazzamuso using his track racing experience to go flat out, leaving Versace and De Wit behind. So, to confirm the results for you after Stage 1 and Stage 2, Gemmell and Olivier in their Mitsubishi Lancer enjoying a 3-second buffer over Fecken and Aries, and Lawrence and Vermeulen had in turn 9 seconds to spare over the next group. The class leaders after stages 1 and 2, and in A5 it was Houghton and Doherty in their Motorola Toyota Taz, and N2 De Toy and Vermaak in their McCarthy Toyota Corolla. So, after the first 2 stages, Gemmell was leading Fecken by 3 seconds, Lawrence was a further 9 seconds behind, with Charles Wilken 16 seconds behind the leaders and being matched by JP Damso. Rueda was less than ecstatic about their performance on the Zwartkops Raceway.
From the first stage we lost a minute and a half, and now we just got to push all the way. You know, there's no way we can sit back and see what's going to happen. Yeah, it was just a confusion inside the car, and I thought let's go in, and Martin said no, one more, and they had a problem with the autos, and we did 1 lap too many. It's funny, if navigator makes a mistake, it's always a big mistake. If we as drivers make a mistake, well, that's rallying, you know. So as cross as I was, you know, it happened. Well, now I just got to scare him. I will scare him all the way to the finish for what he did to me yesterday.
As for Buerta, he was willing to fight to regain their losses.
Now it has to be flat out, yeah. We're still trying to settle in at the moment. These stages are not very nice because they're very square block things. So we hope it's going to get better as we go along further into the forest stages.
We're off to pay the rent, but you join us again after heading towards Witbank for the start of 9 stages to be completed before day's end. From there, participants would head out to Almelo and Lothair before ending the day at Warburton, A whopping 570 kilometers later, special stages this day would total some 111 Ks. Altogether, 6 teams from neighboring countries have entered the second round of the FIA African Rally Championship. South African competitors in qualifying cars will score points towards the African and the SA Rally Championship. First on the road is the current FIA African Rally Drivers Champion Muna Singh from Zambia and his navigator Dave Sohoka in an FIA Class N4 Madison Insurance Subaru Impreza. They are the only A-seeded ARC competitors and the reigning African champions. Stage 3, Dam, just outside Witbank, was short at under 10 kilometers, but with no service allowed before Stage 4, also 10 Ks, it was essential not to do anything rash this early in the event. These stages were extremely dusty and loose, testing the driver's skill to the limits. Proving that the first 2 stages were not just luck, Gemmell set the fastest time once more. Lawrence, however, matched his time, and Damso was only 1 second off the stage-winning pace. The 2 Subarus of Ryan and Duplessis completed the top 5, showing that nobody was willing to allow the other teams any advantage. In Class N2 for near-standard production cars with 1600cc engines, 11 seconds covered the top 3, with Mike Nathan and Graham Hooper winning in their AWI Toyota Corolla from the similar NPS Oilflow Corolla of Aggie Stowe and Jurstein, and birthday boy Costa Comentarakis' Dunlop Corolla, while co-driver Barry White was clinging on for dear life. In A7, which are 2-litre modified cars, JP Damso beat Fecken by just 4 seconds, with Wilkin showing he was getting to grips with his new car on the gravel. Class N3 saw the by now familiar battle between the Team Total Run X's of De Wit and Yende, Versage and Swan, and Piazza Musso Labuschagne. After stage 3 then, the top 5 were Johnny Gemmell and Marty Olivier. Etienne Lawrence and Andre Vermeulen were just a matter of 12 seconds further back, followed by Damso and Paisley, Fecken and Aries, and Jan Habig and Douglas Judd. And the top runners in the classes, Etienne Lawrence and Vermeulen, who clocked 20 minutes and 31 seconds. Then it was Gemmell and Olivier, followed by Claudio Piazzamuso and Janine Labuschagne. In the other classes, A6, for instance, Craig Trott and John Costa were going superbly well, and then there was Bryn Doherty and Michael Houghton in A5, who were cruising along very nicely as well, thank you very much. On these championship rallies, there's always drama, and believe it or not, stage 4 finally saw the start of it. Serge Damso took a big 5-second bite out of Johnny Gemmell's lead, while Lawrence was sandwiched between the 2 N4 cars of Gemmell ahead and Ryan chasing as hard as he could behind him. While all of those big battles were going on, Habig rounded out the top 5 and was settling down with the S2000 Polo and found his feet very nicely with a brand new car.
We haven't tested very much before the event, and we're basically using every stage as we go to fine tune and sort out the handling in particular. But apart from that, nothing major has happened, and it'll only get better from here on. Today was the first time that we drove it on gravel, so we had a guess of what the setup should be, and it wasn't too far off, but it's going to take a while to fine-tune it and really get it right. And it's quite enjoyable, and I think it'll be better at the coast as well.
All was not well in the Gemmell camp. He tells Rueda what's wrong.
The front shock's bugged. I had service and all that there, and let's see, 2 stages.
At the service park after stage 4, bad news awaited the Mitsubishi fans. Gemmell's car was on the trailer. With no spare front shock absorbers in the service van, he tried to borrow a spare from the other teams. But with a long, hard rally ahead, none were actually willing to let theirs go in case they needed them themselves. Gemmel's crew carry on with the service in the hope that he can continue, but their rally is run. In Class A5, Michael Houghton and Bryn Doherty continued where they left off in Cape Town, driving away from the other A5 competitors. Gugu Zulu and Llewellyn Fourie in their BP Volkswagen Chico lost 13 seconds to them in this stage alone, and Dolf Coetzee and Bram Hatting were a further second behind. Luckily, Coetzee wasn't put off by the fan, keeping abreast of the action. And in the A6, Trott was showing why he loved dirt tracks, taking 18 seconds off Vaughan and 22 off Burger, who is not amused as Witbank is virtually in his own backyard. The overall positions after stage 4, still Johnny Gemmel and Marty Olivier enjoying a good 13-second and a very lucky 13-second buffer over Serge Damso and Robert Paisley, who in turn were just 1 second ahead of Lawrence and Vermeulen. The class runners looked like this. It was Damso and Paisley at the top in the S2000, and picking out some of the other ones in the N3s, it was Chris de Wet and Patrick Yende, while Jürgen Fecken and Pierre Aries in the A7 had a very healthy lead themselves.